Okay, yeah, okay, I'll go.
All right, that's good. Oh, your glasses are right there waiting for you?
Okay.
Well, I have
So
7
who's
o'clock.
moving?
Well, 7 here, 6:59 here.
Man.
Yeah, is that fine?
That's Tammy. Tammy's the one sitting next to me with her glasses up on her head. Yeah, you want to do that and Kathy then? Okay.
Yeah. So I have 7. You ready to go down there? You guys ready over there?
I'm ready.
Good evening and welcome to the February 1st meeting of the Glenville Town Board. Please rise for the invocation and pledge of allegiance. For tonight's invocation, I just ask that you take a moment of silence and offer your own intentions privately. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please call the roll.
Councilman Martin?
Here.
Councilman Ramichardt? Here. Councilman Goodrich?
Here.
Supervisor Ketzler?
Here, welcome all. It's been a long time since we had a meeting this full, so it's great to see everybody. We do have a exciting agenda here. There's a lot on it. We'll get to it quickly. I do want to just point out under new business, there'll be a discussion regarding proposed cannabis overlay district. That'll be a general discussion for the town board. And then we'll do an add-on resolution 1, appointing Nicholas Chiavini as town of Glenville's fair housing officer, which is required for some grants. So we'll get to all of that. But before we do, we'll start with town council reports. I'll start on my left with town Councilman Godlewski.
Just to say, Mr. Supervisor, that both myself and my wife had a great time this past Saturday at the fundraiser for the Capital Region Veterans Memorial, also known as the Legacy Project. It was at what we colloquially recall as the Water's Edge, but is now Max 410. We shared a table with all the 4 of us. It was spirited, but enjoyable, and it was for a great cause. And I'm so proud that this project is happening in Glenville, as I know my colleagues on the board are, and it was fun to enjoy each other's company. And that's all.
Thank you. Councilman Martin.
Yeah, I just want to echo those same sentiments. And I even sat next to Mike. We had a lovely dinner banner, I thought.
Mm.
Yep. So, no, it was a fun evening for all. And my wife had a good time. I said to Larry, it was a wonderful evening. Just happy to be a part of it. And I obviously wish them all the best. And I'm going to continue to go to their board meetings and assist in any way I can. It's just a great project, and I'm happy to see it come here to the town. So I echo those thoughts. That's it.
Councilman Ramatar.
Yes, it was an honor to be there. Larry and Mary did an awesome job setting things up. Looking forward to helping them continue to raise funds. But outside of that, nothing more than looking forward to your state of the town.
Oh, yes.
Thank you, Sid. Very nice to hear. Thank you. All right, so we'll move on now to the 5th item on the agenda, which is a public hearing regarding to hear all persons interested in the proposed contract with Village of Scotia to provide fire protection, emergency medical services to the town of Glenville Fire District Number 4 for the term of 3 years. I'll open that public hearing. Anyone wish to be heard on that matter? This is in relation to getting all choked up, guys. That's how, sorry, on this one. I have something in my throat. I apologize. Hearing on the District 4 fire contract with the Village of Scotia regarding fire services and emergency medical services. Going once, going twice. Seeing none, that public hearing is now closed. We'll now move to privilege of the floor. Privilege of the floor is now open. Anyone wish to address the board on privilege of the floor, raise your hand. I'll invite you to the podium. You can address the board on any item for privilege of the floor. Now open. Going once, going twice. Seeing none, purge of the floor is now closed. We'll now move on to our first resolution of the evening, Resolution 7, resolution appointing Amanda Gonzalez Barone to the position of Glenville Town Board Member. Do I have a motion?
I will move it.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. To start the discussion, as we all know, there's a vacancy on the town board after Deputy Supervisor Gina Worzbowski resigned to take another position. Deputy Supervisor Ramatar and I took the occasion to collect the resumes. There were 7 overall interested parties. 3 made it to the interview. Sid and I met with 3, and we found, and very impressed, although all of them were very impressive, we found and were very impressed with Amanda's experience and community dedication, I think, came through. Her passion for the community was clear, and her hard work. And, you know, the fact that Amanda is a Scotia resident was not lost on us. It was very important for us to make sure that we have a Scotia resident representing Scotia on the board. Yet a town business owner, which was another very important piece. Make sure we had a business owner. Amanda has served the town on a couple different committees, one being the Glenville Local Business Development Corporation. She also served on the Glenville Small Business and Economic Development Committee. She's volunteered for many town events, has been at many and supporting many town events. So we believe that Amanda is going to make a phenomenal town board member here. We're excited. And it's interesting because I got a lot of calls on this for a variety of reasons, but one was the fact that people noticed you weren't a Republican. And Amanda's not a Republican. Amanda's a blank, which is non-affiliated, but they call them blanks. Non-affiliated member. So Amanda, I think your independent spirit and your independent mind was another thing that Sid and I were both very impressed with. And I think we're looking forward to on the board. And it shouldn't be lost to anyone on the board that tonight's a historic night for the town of Glenville. We'll have our first openly gay board member, which you and I have talked about. And so I think it's historic, and it's something that I think is great for the town, that you have bring perspectives to the board. Gina obviously was a female, the only female member. It was important to have a female member to bring that perspective to the board. And so all of these reasons, which I could go on and on about, make you, I think, ideally and perfectly suited to join us on the board. And I'd like to open up discussion on that with the board members.
I'll go first. I know Amanda by way of the Local Development Corporation involvement in the Small Business and Economic Development Committee. And what's always impressed me about Amanda is that she brings energy. There's no question about that. To any endeavor that she takes on. And she's very articulate. And I was just impressed with her work ethic, the small business affiliation. As you all know, any of you know me, I have great respect and support for our small businesses here in the town. And she's a small business owner of a thriving business on Route 50. I just think she's an ideal fit, and I welcome the energy and the passion and that new, fresh perspective that I know she'll bring. So from my standpoint, it's a win all the way around, and I welcome her wholeheartedly.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to?
So Amanda, we haven't worked together on any projects really. We've had a couple of meetings with the SBED, and just from those meetings alone, I can tell that you're going to be a great fit for the town. Your resume says it all, but outside of your resume, just watching you and listening to you do things with the times that we did meet, I expect a lot of great things. I'm looking forward to working on other committees as we go on into the year, and a lot of surprises that we have for the town together.
Anyone else wish to speak?
Yes, just very briefly, I'd offer my congratulations. I'm looking forward to working with you. I thought a lot about what I was going to say tonight, and anyone that knows me knows I prefer speaking off the cuff, but I wanted to be very clear and also very careful about what I said and how I said it. So I did prepare a statement. Elections should determine our representatives, not us. I believe the seat should be filled. I believe Glenville deserves a fully functional town government. However, under the circumstances, I think the person filling the seat should solely finish out the term. This is something Niskayuna did in August of 2021. I thought it worked well. And most importantly, it kept politics out of legislating. Thank you.
I appreciate your comments, Councilman. Just for the record, want to state that it is our responsibility by law to fill the seat. If a person chooses to run or not to run, that's up to them. But I think that it should be recognized that Sid and I worked hard to make sure it was a non-political affiliation, that it was a blank that was important to us. And I think that, not being a political person, non-affiliated, would make it easy to let this person, fill out the term. And what happens after that is really up to her and the parties who decide to either back her or not back her. But in my mind, I don't think there's anyone better to fill the role than you. So with that, is there any other discussion?
I'll just comment again in response to Mike's comments. I hear what you're saying, and I have a great respect for the process and procedure of government and the way it should be, the way it should be administered. But I think it's better, though, on balance, for the community and the residents to have a fully functioning, fully staffed, so to speak, town board. And I don't think anything is better served by having a blank seat there or an empty seat and having it unfulfilled. So in my mind, that's an overriding consideration. And again, why I support the idea of an appointment in the interim.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, for this historic vote, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin,
Yes.
Councilman Renatar,
Yes.
Councilman Goodluski,
For the reasons stated, no.
Supervisor Kettler.
Yes, resolution passes. Congratulations, Amanda. Amanda, if you and your family would like to meet me over at the podium, we'll do a swearing in. I just have to get the camera set up for you. Okay. You're on, guys. Come on up. So, Amanda, we're going to have you stand here. Family around. Place your left hand on the Bible, raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I, Amanda C. Gonzalez Barone,
I, Amanda C. Gonzalez Barone,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly
that
swear
I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
and the laws of the United States
and the laws of the United States
and the Constitution
and the
and
Constitution
the laws of the state of New York,
and the laws of the state of New York,
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of councilman
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of councilwoman
for the town of Glenville,
for the town of Glenville
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations and welcome.
A little overwhelmed right now because of all the positivity and support. And I have to say, if I ever wanted to feel amazing about myself, I'm just going to let you all talk about me for a while. I'm just really honored to have been even considered for this position. And public service is something that just kind of seems like a natural trajectory for where I want to go. I've always wanted to help people and help others, and that's what I do by nature in my business, is help others with their health and their fitness goals, and also developing their confidence and self-worth, and allowing them to have happier lives. And that's kind of an extension. This new role is an extension of that, where we're all trying to help our fellow residents in Glenville and Scotia live healthier, better, happier lives. And I'm just really excited to be able to bring my energy and my passion and my ideas and work with all of you who are just tremendous people. So I'm ready to learn, I'm ready to grow, and I thank you all for your support and your faith in me.
Well, now we're at the time for the state of the town. So hopefully half the room doesn't get up and walk out. So Amanda, I saved this. This was supposed to be last meeting, but I figured I'd let Jean off the hook for her last meeting, but this is your initiation. So for the next 20 minutes, you're gonna have to hear about the state of the town. I want to thank you all for coming. Let me get my water because I am loaded to the dry. I'm talking too much.
You need another bottle?
No, I should be okay. It won't be that long. Thank you all for coming. You know, each year we like to do this because this is a very transparent thing for the town to do, is to stand up and outline to the community what we're trying to do for the year. And so as we move through the year, people can look back to this day and see that this was something that we wanted to, you know, get out to the community, make sure everyone had a chance to be engaged and talk about it. We also do this for the budget. At budget time, we're the only ones who do a budget forum as well. Give the opportunity for the residents to hear what's going on in the budget. Next 20 minutes or so, I'm going to try to take you around the town of Glenville. But again, I want to thank and welcome Amanda. I appreciate your willingness to serve, and we look forward to working with you. The state of the town and the town of Glenville continues to be strong. From our finances to our commercial corridors to our parks and neighborhoods, we continue to move forward as we invest in and build our community while being fiscally responsible and sound. Since 2009, we've welcomed numerous new businesses, including local entrepreneurs, small businesses, large corporations, and manufacturers. We added thousands in jobs, millions in new assessed value, and have revitalized our commercial corridors from town center all the way down to the Glenville Business and Technology Park. The result is a more balanced real property tax base, with business and industry generating their proportional revenue for taxes that shifts more of the burden off our residents. In every facet, we've improved Glenville. We've added tax base, we kept taxes low, we've invested in our community, we attracted new jobs and businesses, and we made Glenville a vastly better, stronger, and more vibrant place than it was just 15 years ago. As we continue our work together, I'm happy to say that we're just getting started, and there's so much more ahead. To that end, I want to talk a little bit about a blueprint tonight for the next year and beyond. And I want to talk about 4 key areas: economic development, infrastructure, parks, and finance. Regarding economic development, there's been no area that we've been more laser focused on over the past year and a half than Freeman's Bridge Road and its redevelopment. For too long, the land use patterns among Freeman's Bridge Road have been eclectic and the rate of development sporadic. We've had all sorts of land uses try to coexist, but this has led to a chaotic and underutilized commercial corridor. We've also seen much of the property on that corridor become contaminated and unusable. However, the groundwork of a sound corridor planning over the recent years and the adoption of a forward-thinking overlay district is starting to turn the fortunes of that corridor around. The overlay district has adopted zoning that allows for a mix of new dynamic uses that will bring a new energy to the corridor, while also providing responsive business services, leisure-type activities, and other uses for the enjoyment of our residents. Now, working creatively with our private sector partners, we've started to encourage the redevelopment of many of these properties by encouraging the demolition of old, dilapidated buildings. You may have noticed. This helps make these properties shovel-ready and reduces the cost of development, and that helps better attract investment on those parcels. As many of you know, we began the process of cleaning up the badly contaminated Kenco site a few years ago. But the state reallocated resources when Hoosick Falls happened. Regardless, before they shifted the resources, we successfully protected our residents against the risk of contaminated water in their wells by securing free water infrastructure for the Sunnyside Road area. Now, after staying dedicated and working with DEC over all these years, they're coming back to finish the job and clean that site. We are in the budget. This spring, work will renew on the Kenco site, which will beautify and eventually clean that site once and for all. Another catalyst to economic development is making our community more walkable, which I will speak more about in a moment on a separate matter. But there is no corridor that's more important to become walkable than Freeman's Bridge Road. Making this important business area more walkable not only helps the environment and encourages fitness, but it also supports small business the most. Studies show that residents are much more likely to walk to local, small neighborhood businesses than large box stores. And these walkable amenities will help encourage more smaller scale development on Freeman's Bridge Road. This, in conjunction with the number of new residents in the area where the apartments on Dutch Meadows are being built, will help spur new development and will ultimately revitalize Freeman's Bridge Road. The other business corridor that has languished over the years is the Route 5 corridor between Bly Road and Amsterdam. This is a high-speed corridor that has turned into a raceway between Schenectady and Amsterdam. And recent zoning changes to that corridor have helped us attract small businesses focused on recreation and agritourism. As such, we've been successful in recent years to attract a local homegrown business, Wolf Hollow, and have seen a local distillery open in that corridor. The past year, we successfully welcomed yet another new distillery called Murray's Fools. And we are working on, with another developer, a plan to open a cooperage and a rick house here in the town of Glenville, all with tourism in mind. Across the street from there, in an area that is limited from development due to the flood zone, we've welcomed a large cricket field that will host tournaments and games from all over. Not only do these businesses complement each other, they each work to build the corridor into a recreational center that will only grow through 2023. Now on to infrastructure. I talked about walkability. Perhaps there's no more important infrastructure investment than to make a community more walkable. Over the course of my time as supervisor, the town has stayed focused on the daunting but critical task of making Glenville more walkable. This effort cuts emissions, promotes good health, beautifies the community, supports small business development, as we talked about, and it simply builds a better, stronger, and more connected community. Early on, many doubted our ability to connect areas of the town together, and even doubted the wisdom of some of those projects. But today, we can say those doubters were wrong. The connections between our neighborhoods, our commercial corridors, and our parks are starting to take shape, and more people are walking and taking this opportunity for increased recreation. We see this in the Safe Ways to Schools effort that connected families to their schools in Glenville and in Scotia, as well as in the Burn Hills community on Lake Hill Road. And although Saratoga County will not let us connect the Applause Hamlet to Glencliff School, I'm proud that I was able to secure money to finally bring sidewalks to Applause, which they have waited for over 40 years for. In addition, focus for increased walkability in the Freeman's Bridge corridor, which I mentioned earlier, is also important. Working together with the state, we've secured grant funding to build pathways from the bridge, the Freeman's Bridge, up to Dutch Meadows on both sides of the street. And we secured additional funding to go from Dutch Meadows to Thomas Corners on one side of the street, and then to Airport Park, essentially connecting Freeman's Bridge to Town Center in a pedestrian path. Additionally, there will be a sidewalk on Dutch Meadows connecting Route 50 into Freeman's Bridge Road. So not only does that connect our parks, the Legacy Park there, to the local neighborhood, it also feeds into a greater trail system that connects the folks to the riverfront, into Schenectady, and into Scotia. And that work will begin this spring. Speaking of the riverfront, we also secured funding to fix the Glenville bike hike trail that runs along the Mohawk and is a critical link in the 3-mile loop around the river. This gives visitors to our area, along with our residents, a greater recreational opportunity to explore the area through a pedestrian-friendly connection between Glenville, Schenectady, and Scotia. This will also help pedestrians enjoy Collins Park, Freedom Park, Jumping Jacks, and the riverfront frontage. And this project will start this season and hopefully be completed by the fall. Yet another important link in our trail system that's starting to take shape is connecting Anderson Park, our dog park, to residents in one of Glenville's biggest neighborhoods, St. Stephen's, to our commercial corridor, the town center. This connection on Van Buren will also connect the St. Stephen's neighborhood to the Woodhaven neighborhood through town center. Additionally, once pedestrians reach Anderson Park, the trail system will take them into Indian Meadows, and they can enjoy a 4-mile pedestrian loop within our parks. You can see in your mind, and we'll have a map for everybody, but you can see in your mind that the trail systems are starting to take hold. On to applause. And I see Legislator Austerlitz is here, and I know the Legislator Austerlitz has worked hard on the applause sidewalk along with the town. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm proud that the town led the effort to secure important funding to connect the hamlet of Applause together with the pedestrian safe sidewalk. I mentioned over 40 years, the residents of Applause have asked for this sidewalk, and the town and the county working together are finally going to deliver. This project has taken a little longer, I think we'd all agree, Michelle, than it really should, and some of it was over some confusion between who's doing what, but in the end, I think we found our way, and the town has graciously moved its previously planned sidewalk from between Bruce and I believe the bridge is where the county is going to go to. And we are now going to pick up from the bridge out to Maple Avenue. And that's an important connection as long as our grantor allows us, and we have tentative agreement from our grantor to move it. That will help us because we'll make a critical connection into Maritime Way, which will also make a connection into the river. And this connection will eventually connect Applause to Woodhaven. Now you will have Applause, Woodhaven, St. Stephen's, our parks and our town center all connected with a pedestrian path. That's connecting thousands of residents in our biggest neighborhoods, bringing our neighbors closer together. We're ready to get going this spring, I believe, Michelle, the county and the town, and we'll have that project in Applause going. Finally, there's a missing link on Lake Hill Road in a walkway between the Burnt Hills Boston Lake High School and Middle School, and that's been there for years. We finally secured money to complete the pedestrian path there. This sidewalk on the Glenville side of the county line has been engineered, and we're waiting on the county's approval. I have indication that it's moving forward, and once that gets signed off by the county, we'll be able to start that project this spring and also connect finally the high school and the middle school in the Burnt Hills district. So altogether, things are starting to connect, and the amount of grant money coming into this town is something our residents should be impressed with. Just in the past 2 years, $6.5 million in investments in this community has come in. Water is a critical part of our infrastructure. There's no question about it. Our folks work hard every day to bring residents safe, clean, and affordable water. But this system was built in 1964, and it is aging. One of the changes that has occurred over the recent years is that when we first built the town system, the town could not build a distribution system in every neighborhood. So instead, they worked with the village to provide water into certain town neighborhoods. This made sense at the time, but today issues persist. For one, it's my view that the village charges our residents more than they charge their own residents for the very same water. That leaves our town residents overpaying for water. These select residents pay more for water than Scotia residents pay, and they pay way more than town residents currently pay. We have built an infrastructure in the town's business and technology park to accommodate economic development. Because of that infrastructure, we are now able to begin taking town residents back onto town water. This also helps the pressure issue that we hear about down below the avenue with new infrastructure being built. As such, we're going to go and bid that project, and we'll bring those town residents and businesses onto the town system for residents who live in the area, commonly referred to as below the avenue. Work is expected to start later this year on this very important project. I see we have a trustee, Justin is with us, the mayor is with us. I want to thank you both for attending. And I want to thank you both for, really, I want to report tonight that the village and the town have made progress, I believe, Mr. Mayor, on our communications. We have a more open and refreshing, candid line of communications, I believe. But I want to repeat here tonight what we've talked about and say it publicly so there can be no question. The town has offered a three-pronged solution and that's to this issue. And the first is I'm asking the village to sign a 3-year contract that lowers the town's residents' rates, the town residents' rates, equal to the village rates over a 3-year period. Not all in 1 year, understanding that we can move that over 3 years. Number two, I want us to agree that the village would help us make infrastructure improvements within the districts where there seems to be flow issues and bring them to safe levels. And last, the third prong is let us join together on a solution that Councilman Martin brought forward and create a townwide water authority that will take on the town and the village's water infrastructure and will combine it into one large system. This will make our water system more efficient. It will better allow us to make the necessary investments in the aging infrastructure, and it will give parity to all water users, whether you are a village resident, a town resident on village water or town water. All would be treated equal, and it would take the much anticipated investments that we are both facing off our backs and put it onto a water authority. I hope the village will come forward and agree so that we can move forward. But if not, we are prepared to bid this project out this month. Engineering report is done, and we're ready to go forward. And so hopefully, Mr. Mayor, we can continue our discussions on that, but do it in a very expedited manner. On to parks. We all like parks, right? Among the most beautiful one, Mr. Mayor. Over the years, we've invested a significant amount of resources in our parks and recreational programs. In my time, we've created a dedicated parks department. We've added new employees into that department that include weekend coverage in the parks as well. We actually added 2 new parks in my time, which is over 40 acres of dedicated parkland to our system, and a number of new amenities. In fact, the town has invested over $2 million over the recent years in our parks. That's a tremendous commitment by this town board in this community. This year, our focus will include in Indian Meadows Park, providing water and electricity to the softball, football, and lacrosse areas of Indian Meadows, building a disc golf course, completing a lacrosse box, the only one of its kind in the area, I'm told, constructing additional parking and paving more roads within the park and the parking lots for the leagues to use. In Melwick, perhaps no park has received more attention over the past few years than Melwick. This past year or two, we built a large inclusive playground, we installed a horseshoe pit, and we paved the gravel roads and parking lots. This year, we're going to construct a kayak launch in the river, obviously on the riverfront, install a walking perimeter around the park, which will be a mile loop for residents to use, and hopefully construct at least a softball field for the Scotia Glenville Girls Softball League, giving them a home in our park as well. They're the only league without a home in our park, major league anyway, and it's time that we help them get that done. Although the space in our parks are at a premium, there's no question about that, and we're running out of space, even with the new parks. I'll continue to seek places to build more pickleball courts. I get that request all the time. We understand the pickleball has become more popular and offer residents of all ages a great activity for exercise and helps people stay fit as well as it provides great recreational opportunities for folks. We just don't have the space, but we're working on it, and we're going to stay committed to that and hopefully get that done. The board members alluded to a special park called Legacy Park. Larry is here tonight. Thank you for all your work on that, Larry. A few years ago, the town was able to secure 6-acre parcel on the corner of Dutch Meadows Lane and Route 50 as a new park where the Albany Regional Veterans Memorial Group can utilize a space dedicated to honoring and supporting our area's veterans. Although the planning for the space is in the early stages, we anticipate that some of the amenities included will be monuments to our nation's conflicts, a museum and a cafe, as well as an amphitheater. To help jumpstart the development of this park, we will construct a mile-long walking path for the public to utilize within the park, which will connect into the walking paths I talked about earlier on Dutch Meadows and into Freeman's Bridge Road. Additionally, we'll seek to build the park's amphitheater this year, where the veterans can hold veteran events and the public can enjoy performances as well. Finance and operations. Perhaps no area drier than finance and operations, but no area more important, because without this, none of that other stuff works. Despite inflation at a 40-year high, we're able to stay under the tax cap again by adhering to the same fundamental tenets we used in the past 14 years, paying down our debt and protecting our fund balance. Our philosophy of avoiding unnecessary borrowing has resulted in reducing the town's debt from $23 million in 2010 to just $10 million by the end of 2022, a cut of almost 60%. Reducing that burden means we lower interest payments, which means we have more funds available for town services. The other key tenets we followed since 2010 has been reducing the use of the fund balance to cover our expenditures in our three main funds. We've reduced that use from $1.4 million in 2010 to about $300,000, a reduction of nearly 80%, allowing us to use that money for capital projects as opposed to operational needs. Now, in the past year, we've delivered a tax cut. And this past year, we just stayed under the tax cap. But this year, I'll strive with the board's work to reach a zero levy adjustment. That's our goal. The town's finances are strong and healthy, but we cannot discount the fiscal environment that we are in. Historic inflation that places tremendous pressures on our town's expenses like fuel and equipment, energy and materials. But despite that, it's important to keep us remaining the lowest tax municipality in the county. And I resolve to do that by continuing our fiscal management that will hopefully lead to a zero levy adjustment for 2024. And I want to take a moment before I end to talk about some restructuring that we worked on operationally. This past year, we made a change in our DPW department. It was a difficult transition. There's no question about that. And I see some of our staff here chuckling. Gave me a lot more gray hair. But it was necessary. It was necessary for the growing town and to meet the growing demands of our departments. And I'm happy to report that the transition that splits highway from DPW is nearly complete, and our operations are more efficient and more effective, and we are now better able to meet the needs of our residents because of this. I want to thank all those who helped in this transition, and I look forward to our work together on behalf of the residents, and always in the best interest of our entire town. One item on our agenda before we end that I must touch on that's been hanging around for years is a prospective new town hall and police station. We have talked about this one for a while. Some people believe it's never going to happen, but we've begun preparations for it to happen. Unfortunately, we ran into many delays and setbacks. The state has failed to this point to live up to their $1.5 million commitment that they made to our police officers that would have led to a new police station by now. The historic pandemic knocked us off track, as well as rising interest rates and lately record inflation and shortage of building materials. We're fighting it all. But regardless, we, as always, are undaunted. We are actively engaged with Senator Breslin on trying to get the state to honor their $1.5 million commitment to this town and to our police officers. We have saved money in reserves to deal with increased costs, and we are currently soliciting proposals from 4 developers. Councilman Martin is leading that committee to explore a new town hall complex. We hope to have those done by mid-February, evaluate, and to the board for discussion. So that may actually be a reality in 2023. And lastly, we're going to talk a little bit tonight, but I must put it in the state of the town. I wanted to touch on the board's work looking into potentially allowing retail sales of cannabis. I do not know what the board will ultimately decide on that issue. We're engaged in discussion now. But we will work together, I know this, I think we all agree, to ensure that if we do allow it, we will enact strict zoning regulations and will limit it to only a few places within town. Working with our planning department, we are currently reviewing the options, which include requiring a conditional use permit, annual inspections, requiring the staff of the store to be educated, have certain education certificates, and restrictions to only a few commercial corridors. We'll start that process or continue that process tonight and into next week and see where that all goes. So to conclude, over the past many years, I believe I can say the town has been working for you. Through careful planning, we attracted millions of new investment, millions of new grants to our town, thousands of jobs, and have invested in the community while holding taxes down. Glenville is lean and efficient. We're delivering important frontline services each day, and we're doing it while holding down the lowest tax levy in the county. And I want to pause one moment to acknowledge and thank the staff and every employee who every single day, I said it through the pandemic, and I say it all the time, and I couldn't call people out individually because I'll be here all night talking about everyone individually. Every single one of our staff members shows up every day and delivers, and they work hard on behalf of our residents. I'm proud of them, and they're the ones that make this happen. And I want to thank them. Just give them a round of applause, please. So I and many members of the board have been at this almost 15 years, but in some ways I still feel like it's just the beginning. I believe this board has worked well together. I believe we're going to continue working well together. I believe our relationships with the county have improved. Our relationship with the village has improved. And I think working together, we're going to continue to move Glenville forward. And I believe our future is very, very bright, and our state of our town remains very strong. Thank you very much for coming out. Anyone keep time on that? Was that more than 20 minutes?
It was long.
A lot going on, Mike. Okay, back to the agenda. We are on resolution number 9, authorizing the supervisor to enter into an agreement with the Village of Scotia regarding fire protection, emergency medical services for Glenville Fire District 4. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved and second. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, this enters into a 3-year agreement with the village for the aforementioned fire and emergency medical services with the Village of Scotia Fire Department. If it's for the term commencing January 1, 2023, and providing that the village be paid a sum of $500,061 for the contract year 2023, $512,500 for the contract year 2024, and $522,500 in contract year 2020 or 2025.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
Just the same, Mr. Supervisor. I'm happy to see that we've reached resolution with the village on this, and that I think this is a good deal for both the town and for the village.
I want to take an opportunity to thank the mayor. I think, again, as I alluded to earlier, the discussions were very good, very open, very candid, and I think it went quicker than I ever have previously. So thank you for your willingness to work with us. Any other questions or comments on that?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you as well, Mayor. This seemed to really take a turn for the better when you came into office, and Jason endorsed this agreement, which is very meaningful to me, and I think it's a wonderful agreement for both communities. So thank you.
Thank you, Justin. Anything else? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin.
Yes.
Councilman Ramichardt.
Yes.
Councilman Gozzowski.
Yes.
Councilwoman Gonzalez Perone. Yes. Supervisor Kessler.
Yes, resolution passes. Let the record show the very first resolution you voted on was the Scotia resolution. Say that, very appropriate. These next set of resolutions are exciting resolutions, and it really hits on what I just talked about. Who makes this work every single day? It's our employees. And two of our department heads came to me and asked if this would be something the town board would consider. And so I got to say that I absolutely endorse these suggestions by the two department heads. We'll take up the first resolution, which is Resolution 10, appointing Lynn Welkuski to the position of Executive Secretary 2. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, I do this with a great amount of gratitude and joy. I've known Lynn, I think since she first came here a few years back, and the times I've had to work with her are just absolutely wonderful. She is so competent, so pleasant to work with, goes above and beyond, and it's just a wonderful person to have, in this government. And I'm very happy to endorse this resolution for her promotion to Executive Secretary 2.
Thank you. I'm going to reserve my comments till the end because I'm going to talk about each of you and then just do it all together. Be easier. Anyone else have any comments?
Just
Oh, I got stories.
just to say that I wholeheartedly agree with Councilman Martin.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Ramichardt?
Yes.
Councilman Douglas?
Yes.
Councilwoman Gonzalez Brown? Yes. Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next, resolution 11, appointing Tammy Stocker to the position of Principal Clerk, Account Clerk 2. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second?
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor. So I have not worked with Tammy, but I do know Tammy's been doing a great job for 22 years being on the town board. And she was recently assigned to solely handling the administrative functions of the Highway Department, now handling administrative functions of not only the Department of Public Works, but water, sewer, and facilities as well. She's doing an awesome job. Again, she's been here 22 years. Commissioner of Public Works recommends that Tammy be promoted to the title of Principal Account Clerk 2 starting February 13th at 2023.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
Again, I haven't had as much of a chance to work with Tammy as I have with Lynn and Kathy, but 22 years is 22 years, and I know what it's like to be around Highway Department, and that's good work. And I just again happy to have somebody with those talents and that commitment in our government.
Any other questions or comments?
Just to say thank you for your service. Thank you for all you do for the town, and congratulations.
Thank you. Anything else? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Ramichardt?
Yes.
Councilman Douglas?
Yes.
Councilwoman Gonzalez Brown? Yes. Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next, resolution 12, appointing Kathy Visco to the position of Information Processing Specialist 2. Do I have a motion?
I will move it.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, this will move and authorize the promotion of Kathy Visco to Information Processing Specialist 2. And again, what I'll say about Kathy is she's always a joy. I come to the staff meetings on occasion. Always a joy to be around. Again, very dedicated, hard worker. And the other thing I will say finally is she can put together one hell of a holiday party. That was very good. But I like to eat, so no secret about that.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Ramichardt?
Yes.
Councilman Douglas?
Yes.
Councilwoman Gonzalez Brown? Yes. Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next, resolution 13, appointing Jim Pangburn to the position of Building Inspector. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor. James Bangern has been employed with the town since 2018 as Deputy Building Inspector. This resolution is to promote him to Building Inspector. Since that time, he's been expanding his knowledge, enrolling in training, seminars, just trying to serve the residents of Glenville better. And it is recommended that he be promoted to Building Inspector effective February 13th.
Any other questions or comments?
Well, these are all the ones that I'm liaison to this department. And I'm going to say about Jim is I have great respect for the work he's done in his capacity as assistant building inspector and code enforcement. That is not easy work. And it can be very complicated, taxing work. And he's always done it in a very professional manner. And it's good to see him with this advancement, especially with Arnie's plans coming on in the future. So it's good to see Jim get this, and it's well deserved.
Anything else? I'll take a moment to pause here just to congratulate each of the employees who have received these promotions and tell you that, I get an opportunity every day to work with each of you. Jim's not here tonight. And each of you have made my life infinitely easier and have helped me in so many ways. A lot of people are shocked I don't have a confidential secretary. And I said, with the staff we have, everyone pitches in. I called in so many times asking for so much and always delivers. Tammy's always right there, always pitching in. She's pitching to the tax department. She pitches in everywhere she's needed. And Kathy, who is always, I know had a difficult year, but always comes and brightens everybody's day and always gets the job done. And Jim, it's a tough job, as you just said, Councilman. And, each of you have worked through extraordinarily difficult times, like all of our staff, but each of you have been touched with changes. We talked about the DPW change. I know, Tammy, that created a tremendous amount of work on you and stress. Lynn has worked without a planner, a deputy planner. Sometimes she's the only one showing up.
She's actually a planner.
Yeah. And Kathy's working through all of this as well. We went through a difficult time with the changeover in staff, and you guys were like rock solid. You made sure we didn't miss a beat. You got everything done, and it means a lot to me. And I just want to thank you all and congratulate you all. And so where are we? We voting on Jim?
Yes.
I don't want to lose that. Did you
Yeah.
guys already say
No,
yes?
we didn't. Yeah. No, we didn't vote.
All right. So
Moved and
anything
seconded.
else? It'd be funny if we told Jim we forgot to vote. He didn't show up, so we forgot about him. All right, please call the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Ramichardt?
Yes.
Councilman Goodwin?
Yes.
Councilwoman Gonzalez Brown? Yes. Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next, resolution 14, adopting the revised Town of Glenville procurement policy and procedures. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor. The town of Glenville continues to seek or regularly seek grant opportunities with various federal and New York State agencies. It's required that we include the wording or the language concerning minority and women-owned businesses, enterprise, and Section 3 business participation in the procurement policies. The new procurement policies do include that with the addition of guidelines number 6 and 7.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments on that? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Ramichardt?
Yes.
Councilman Goodwin?
Yes.
Councilwoman Gonzalez Brown? Yes. Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next, resolution 15, authorizing the supervisor to enter into an agreement with Labella Associates for proposed all-plus sidewalk engineering services. Do I have a motion?
Yes.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? This just, so everyone knows, as I mentioned in the state of the town, that we're working with the county. The county's doing one portion of Applause. We're doing another portion of Applause. This is the engineering to allow us to go out to bid for our portion. Our portion is from the bridge, the Applause Kill, to Maple Avenue. And so this is just planning. We did the proposals from three providers. And this is to design our sidewalk from Applause Kill to Maple. Any other questions or comments?
Just to know, Mr. Supervisor, I think it's good. It's good that the resolution includes an acknowledgement that the chairman of the planning board works for Labella, but also that we've considered that there's no direct or indirect benefit from the award of the contract to Labella specifically. And I think that's just important to note for full transparency.
Yeah, I think our attorney required that.
Yeah.
On good advice,
Yep.
good counsel. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Ramichardt?
Yes.
Councilman Douglas?
Yes.
Councilwoman Gonzalez Perón? Yes. Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next resolution 16, approving the minutes of the regular town board meeting held on January 18th, 2023. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions, comments?
Just as noted, Mr. Supervisor, this is the minutes for for our last board meeting, and I would thank Ms. Davenport and her staff for putting those together for us.
Anything else? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Ramichardt?
Yes.
Councilman Douglas?
Yes.
Councilwoman Gonzalez Perón? Yes. You're going to be abstaining because you weren't there. Oh.
She tricked you. She asked you, and then she told you afterwards.
I'm sorry. That's how I learned.
That's all right.
Now you won't get me a second time. It's happened before. Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Before we get on to our brief discussion on the Cannabis Overlay District, let's take up add-on resolution number 1, appointing the town planner Nicholas Trevini to the town of Glenville's Fair Housing Officer. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, this is a resolution that appoints Nick to our Fair Housing Officer. These are one of the fundamental requirements that is made by New York State Office of Community Renewal. We have a grant award for our micro enterprise grant of $300,000, and it requires that we name a Fair Housing Officer, and Nick will serve in that capacity.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Ramichardt?
Yes.
Councilman Douglas?
Yes.
Councilwoman Gonzalez Perón? Yes. Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Before we get to the cannabis overlay, I want to just make one important announcement. Vicky has asked me to make sure and I'll forget if I don't do it now. The ice rinks will be open this week. It's obviously going to get to -10, so I guess that's good enough for ice, right? Finally.
Vicky's going to be out there ice skating. She's already said so.
Warming huts will be open on select evenings and weekends. Check the website, but get out there and do some ice skating. If it's going to be this cold, might as well enjoy it best you can. And so with that, we're just going to take a minute to kind of summarize where we were from last week. I anticipate that by next week, the work session will have a written code if everyone's comfortable. But I asked Tony to just put together a little PowerPoint, but I'm just going to go through it pretty quickly if that's okay. So, from our discussion, what Tony has come up with is really taking our western corridor area that we talked about from Bly Road to Rector's Road is what you're suggesting. Bly Road to Rector's Road. Which is just under a mile from Bly to Rector's if we were to make that a cannabis overlay district. And then up on where you have the east, we call it the eastern corridor. That's north end Rudy Chase Drive to south end of Skyway Drive. That's about a half a mile. So that would incorporate everything from Rudy Chase to Skyway, that area, kind of that Socia Plaza area, Target Sports, if you can imagine that. And then Tony's suggesting, I think, based on everyone's comments, that there are certain feet of distance buffer between child daycare centers, substance abuse treatments, public parks and playgrounds, senior centers, adult home facilities, restaurants where outdoor seating exceeds 500 square feet, and all cannabis use permitted unless 2 or more operating in the same building within 400 feet. So he's suggesting these kind of like separation requirements, and what we can do is have all that outlined for you, what the foot differences between all these laid back separations. And lastly, I just wanted to point out, we'll talk about separations later. We're suggesting that if we do go forward, it would be a conditional use requirement. So site plan approval must be issued by the Planning Commission. Conditional use permit must be issued by the Zoning Board of Appeals. All of these licenses or these conditional use permits issued within the Cannabis Overlay District will require an annual inspection. And then once inspected, inspections conducted by the building inspector, Town of Glenville. The results will be forwarded to the ZBA, and the ZBA would review those results. The ZBA would then have certain criteria or certain ways they may act. One is to take no action if the conditional use permit remains fully issued. They could extinguish the permit based on anything they find in the inspection that is not to their standard, or modify and create additional conditions for reissuance. This conditional use permit should include staff education and training, meaning our board and our staff, correct, Tony? Oh, theirs, okay, right. Certification for their training. I was gonna get to that one next. So there's educational requirements for staff that we want to put in this. And although there are no national or state training requirements, we're suggesting at least one manager with a minimum of 1 year of certified training and education from a source acceptable to the ZBA. A manager also required to have a product quality testing training. All staff with acceptable training to gain an understanding of product use and potential side effects, understanding how to effectively communicate how products work for patients or customers, and a patient customer education. Dispensaries should have a written product information readily available for handouts to the customer. So those are, I think, the key elements that we've talked about for a code. Am I missing any?
No, but I give a quick update.
Sure, please.
So today I ran into some folks at the department station and said, well, it's kind of tough to get in contact with the cannabis control board and stuff. And I said, this cannabis control friend and stuff. And the department station says, you know what, why don't you give it to us? We'll take a look at it. And we will talk to cannabis.
Yeah.
So we're going to be, I said,
Can't hurt.
Oh, good. Good. Great. Is there anything that we're missing from the board as far as conditions you may be interested in if we consider this? And Don and Renata, is there anything that we either missed or might seem out of line?
I just had a couple, I'd like to know the dimensions of the overlay. You know, how many feet off the right of way are we talking for, the allowed use? Okay. All right. The other thing I would suggest in the annual inspection, that include a report from our police department as to any infractions or calls to the location. And I'd like to build into that annual review. I don't want to further burden the police officers, but I do think it's important to hear from that department if there's just a brief report, an annual report as to, what, if any occurrences, any recommendations, that kind of thing. I think we need to hear from our law enforcement on a consistent basis as part of that annual inspection. But that would be it for now. But otherwise, I like a lot of what I hear, because I don't think these are going to be numerous things. I don't think we're going to have like even 5 of them. I think if we have, 1 or 2 in, the locations, I think that would be a lot. So that's my thoughts.
I think last time we mentioned something about placing liquor stores in this overlay, and I don't know if I think that's
No,
makes
I
a
don't
lot
know
of
if that's-
sense. I would leave the liquor stores alone.
Yeah.
I had a conversation with New York Cemetery, and they, one of the things about dispensaries, they're treated like any other business. And the suggestion was, if they regulate dispensaries, then they also regulate, liquor stores. Then if you pull those together, maybe more powerful. That's why it's in there, but
I see. Okay.
Maybe that could be some feedback they give you, if you ask them about that.
Oh, I do have one. Oh, I'd like to see a recommendation as to fee as well. I think the regular site plan, special use permit fee is fine, but I mean for that annual inspection, I think that should be a new entry on our fee schedule to help offset our costs for performing that inspection. Yeah, that's fine. Just, that was it.
And we'll have more clarity in the work session, right, with the,
Yeah, so in the work session, we'll have the draft language, which will get to everybody before that night. Tony's pretty much done with it. Hopefully, we'll have the feedback from the state, but we can't promise that because we don't know how the state's gonna, how long they're gonna take to react to it. But we'll have language, and then that, from there, we should be comfortable to either go or no go. So, you know, maybe by the last February meeting or.
Yeah, these are evolving things. I mean, I get it takes a little back and forth, but I want to thank Tony and his department for the, you know, the work they've done in a pretty quick turnaround here, and it's been a full court press on trying to get something in the works. So I appreciate the work that's been done.
I think, Tony, you also said there could be you can enact it for like a period of time and revisit it, like a year. Was that?
At one of the earlier drafts, I had said the conditional use permit was automatically excluded within 1 year. Unless, you know, before that. And, Tommy Pearson said that's not really something we ought to do.
Yeah.
I'm funny because I was at training today and we're talking about the conditional use permit. And they did question how you can do that. But for this kind of use, it really wouldn't be. So the other way to do it is do it by inspection method and, get the proper benefit of the fact that we're not.
Thank you. So we'll talk about more of this next week. Anyone else have any questions or comments? I want to just make an observation and thank the board for the very careful deliberation of this. This is one of the things that the town board had not rushed into, but also did not make a knee-jerk reaction necessarily against. I think when this all happened, we said, let's just take a pause, learn more, and let's revisit, and exactly what you guys are doing. So I do appreciate very much the good work of the town board on this as well. Very measured approach, and I think it's going to be one of the model laws in the area. I think others rushed in, and I think we're going to do it right, as we like to do in Glenville. So with that, any other? He's shaking his head yes, but he's got a smile on his face.
I very much appreciate the approaching this issue with an open mind and collegiality. And I've already cast a vote on this issue once before, so everyone kind of knows where I stand. But I think I do think that there is positives to be taken out of a measured approach. So
Maybe you'll be a swing vote, Mike. Won't that be something?
I don't know. I think he's trying to say. I think he's trying to say in a nice way. He's shocked by a conservative Republican being open to this law.
I'm shocked that I'm up here having this conversation with my Republican colleagues. I'll be honest. Yes, but I think it's a positive. So
We're appointing non-affiliated. Boy,
we're never short on amazement.
It's like we only care about good government, Mike. I don't know. Anyway, well, let's move on to new business other than cannabis. I'll start on my left. Councilman Galuski.
Just to remind everybody that February 9th, we've got the Pizza and Wing Bowl. It starts at 5:30. Does it? 5:30 to 7:30?
It's 5 to 7.
5 to 7. Okay, just ran off the top of my head. Tickets have to be bought pre-sale. Great event. The proceeds are going towards the Legacy Project. Good pizza, good wings. Join us. That's all.
We got like 7 or 8 local businesses.
Yep.
It's gonna be great. So, Councilwoman, what kind of new business might you have tonight?
Well, in the last, hour and 10 minutes.
You got to press your button. Yeah.
There we go.
We taught you how to
Yeah.
turn the mic on. There you go.
There we go. That is my new business. I learned how to operate the microphone tonight. I'm very happy about that. Yeah. No, I don't have much to report for the last hour, but I'm very excited to work with everybody here and hopefully have more new business to share in a future meeting.
Thank you. Councilman Martin.
Yeah, you touched on it in your remarks about the town hall potential project. We've gone through, I think, a very diligent and thorough process of a request for qualifications to establish a field of potentially qualified providers or developers. And now we're at the next stage of request for proposal. And we have given a 1-month extension on that for various reasons. I think primarily in the interest of just getting, better proposals back, more thorough, more detailed proposals back. And we should be getting those here in February. And it'll be very exciting to see the results of that, because we're taking a really innovative and creative approach to this, and using town hall and the government services we provide as a generator of activity that will spawn even hopefully more good things for the community, more commerce, more activity, and not just look at it as in the conventional dry manner of just another municipal building. We're trying to take a new tack on this, and I think it's quite exciting and really could be the catalyst for other good things to happen in the town beyond just getting a new town hall. So very excited about it.
Thank you. Councilman Ramatar.
Just unfortunately, we were not able to get the Small Business Economic Development Committee's first meeting off the ground, but plan on doing that very soon, where we can reestablish that relationship with the business communities and create a town-wide chamber-like entity.
Excellent. Thank you. I have no new business, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I will move
Do I have a
that.
second?
Second.
Moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you.